Greetings, Legionnaires, and welcome to another movie commentary. My name is Jimmy Good, and I'm so happy you're joining me here. Sorry it's been a while, but I'm back, baby. And we've got some commentaries to get through. We got Spider-Man 2 here tonight. Spider-Man 3 is on the horizon, and you never know what's going to pop up after that. Who knows? Who knows it all? But let's just jump right into this. So if you want to watch along with me, all you got to do is get the old DVD rolling like I do, or maybe you're watching this digitally, and we'll hang out together. But I'll let you know where we are. So I'm starting at 0 seconds. Here we go. All right. 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4. We see the old Columbia kind of like title screen here. Yeah. All right. Oh, and that iconic Danny Elfman score. So good. I think one of my favorite things about that score, or this score, is kind of like the feeling it gives me of, like, you know, the beginning there with the strings, kind of like that web vibe, and kind of this just like building intensity. It's such a good theme. I really, really dig it. I don't know if that like web thing, I know it's in the beginning of all these movies, but I've always wondered, like, is it supposed to be just like a web? Like, I guess just kind of going through here. And this is kind of like the old school style of like movies where you've got like the credits first, but at least these credits do a really good job of kind of telling the story and catching people up who might not be, you know, ones who are privy to the first one. Not that there were many probably who saw this one and didn't see the first one first, but I like the little recap. Even though some of the like visuals there are kind of weird, like Kristen Dunst, I don't know why their hair is like all crazy there, but I'll try to do my best to give some little bit of background information here on this one. I couldn't find too much that was crazy, other than the fact that there was a chance for a while that Jake Gyllenhaal was actually going to be playing Peter Parker, because Tobey Maguire apparently hurt his back and was negotiating potentially for more money or something. I'm not sure, but he got back to work because it would have been so weird and jarring, especially to have him be replaced. I have a hard enough time looking at Katie Holmes' character of Rachel being replaced in Dark Knight, but let alone like your main character like that. That would have been so strange. That's just me, though. One thing I do love, too, is kind of you go through this and they play the music kind of, corresponding with what we're seeing here, and they get that little Willem Dafoe bit of Green Goblin, whom I just love so much. I think he was perfectly cast for that, and I would love to see more Green Goblin in the future when it comes to Spider-Man, because definitely my favorite villain. I've probably said it a bunch of times, but it's just the truth. Yeah, so cool. I remember catching this a lot back like in college. It would be on TV, like on cable, and I would just get caught up watching it. I was like, oh, I gotta go to class. Or like it would be on in the place where I would like eat lunch and stuff, or like breakfast. I was like, yeah, this is a good movie. And I remember even when I was younger, when I saw this in theaters, I saw it a couple of times, I think. And I remember even thinking back then that this was like a good movie. And this still stands as probably one of the highest rated, not only Spider-Man films, but just superhero films in general. A lot of people look back at this one and say, like, yes, this was the one. Like, this is the one we really enjoyed. And as we go through it, hopefully, if you haven't seen it before, if you haven't seen it in a while, you'll start to understand why. Oh, man, I feel for Peter. Like, I get it. It's just so frustrating because you can empathize with him, I think, more than any other character you get with comics. Like, at least for me, it's just like, yeah. Also, that looks like not the best CGI screen. So good. Poor Pete. Now, apparently, I think this is a real pizza place. Always late. There was a disturbance. Now, I remember this was a mini game in the Spider-Man 2 video game that everybody also loved, and I remember playing the song. They play da 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 da. That song, they'd play it, and they played faster and faster as time went down. But if you flipped too much, then the pizzas would get messed up. So it was a whole thing. Everybody in this place is drinking Dr. Pepper. Like, that guy behind him, look at him. He's got an empty bottle. He's got a cup of it. There's that fridge. It's all Dr. Pepper. I love that. Go! Like, yeah, it's like, get going, man. I don't know why he didn't just open with turning into Spider-Man. Like, just, Also, I feel like this would be such a dangerous job I never saw Premium Rush, but I feel like this is kind of what, similar. That was just like a bike movie, I guess, without like motorcycle. Whatever. Look at that. Pete is already smarter than most villains in movies where like you throw open the car door and they just smash into it. Now, see, nowadays you just go underneath that bus. See, I've only been to New York like once, but I feel like even if you saw this, it wouldn't be that surprising. You'd be like, yep. One thing, too, about these old Spider-Man films is I always felt like Spidey was just the only hero or superpowered person besides the villains, which it makes me kind of sad because I like to think of, him being in a larger world, which he is right now, but there's a chance that might not come to fruition. I don't know. It sounds like at the recording of this, the time of it, sounds like Marvel and Sony are fighting about like him being in the MCU anymore. I don't know. That would just be so depressing. I love that jump away too. So many old kind of practical effects in this, and obviously there are CG ones too. Also, we got to give it to Spidey here because this is such a snipe of a web shot. It's like, well done. And one question I've always had with this sequence right here is, like, how did he get in the closet, like the mop closet? Like, is there a vent or something? And he's got the pizzas and stuff. And this movie goes like full corny with a lot of its jokes because this movie is actually like really depressing. It's like really sad. It's like just the whole world's down on Peter. He just can't catch a break. And I can't remember if there were actual people in there who were knocking the mops back down the whole time. It's it's like, just leave it, Pete. It's Bones herself. I forget her name. It's pizza time. Like, would she remember? Is she the one who's paying for this? That seems like a really bad business model for New York. Like, if it's not delivered in, was it 29 minutes or less? It's like, come on. And those pizzas are probably so messed up. Come on, Pete. Pete, you should hold on your lab job. I love this. I feel like his sticker got more wrinkled just so they could rip it off here. Bleecker Street. Wasn't that the same street that Doctor Strange's house was on? Maybe. I like how the Daily Bugle got such an upgrade after it got blown up by Green Goblin. Also, J.K. Simmons back again as just an amazing J. Jonah Jameson. I like how Pete, too, is like willing to give up his money at the Daily Bugle because Daily Bugle is ruining like Spider-Man's image, which I totally understand. But at the same time, it's like, Pete, if you're like hard out for money, then just keep giving pictures. Don't fight about this. I love that J. Jonah Jameson is willing to just say like there's a food poisoning scare going throughout the city just because he's a little nauseous. It's so good. Give this to the girl. Like, he doesn't know Betty Brant. What advance, Pete? How much did you ask for? Like $400? Chin up, Pete, and you're going to be living on the street. I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but I did it. So actually, one of the people coming up here that hits him with a backpack, I believe, is Sam Raimi. And there's a really fun, like, deleted scene or an outtake where somebody inadvertently gets, like, the strap wrapped around his neck, and it, like, almost, like, chokes him. It's crazy. Doc Connors, too, a little nod towards the lizard that they were probably eventually going to do, but never got around to, which is unfortunate. It's like kind of frustrating too, because like when you look at Spider-Man 3, we get these three villains, one that's, been built up over time, with these two brand new ones, and they had one like right here ready to go. It's just unfortunate. Planning is not a major at this university. Jeez, come on, man. Yeah, it's just like, if they're friends too, Connors and Octavius, that would have been such a cool thread, to follow or seed to plant there, and just say like, hey, here's the future. Like, potentially, it's just like, ugh, it's frustrating. So let's see. Pete got fired from one job today. His like payment from the Bugle didn't cover his advance. He missed his class, but it was all during his birthday. See, look at this too. This is one criticism I love about this movie, is like James Franco comes in as Harry, as his buddy, and he looks way older in this movie than he does in 3. I think it's because of his hair or something. I don't know. But he's nice to him, and then he's super mean to him. Like, just, this is great. Here we go. Like, the way he asks him that, like, how's the bug these days? Like, do you really think, like, Spider-Man, like, stabbed your father multiple times, Harry? Like, come on, be smarter. Also, I realize that Pete wants to make stuff on his own steam, but why doesn't he just ask Harry to get a job? Like, come on. Ugh. Also, it's funny too that, first off, like, Aunt May is still like, oh, rest your father's soul. And like, one of the last times that we saw them interact, she like slapped Norman's hand at Thanksgiving. And then on top of that, you've got like Harry here being all like, hey, taking pictures of the bug these days. Like, you suck, Pete, but do you want to come meet Otto? Ugh. This is where you say, if I knew who he was, then obviously I would probably like tell somebody, or I can't because it's like my money. Also, I try to think of these scenes if Jake Gyllenhaal would be here instead. It'd be so weird. Yeah, look at this. Like, Aunt May's like gonna lose the house. Like, ugh. This movie's a depressed fest. The way she says "what, Ben" there, I don't feel like it's very genuine. I'm sorry. So she like passed out on the table? Like, I don't mean to be judgmental here, but what? Oh, look at those. They've got like the little like pigs in a blanket, but didn't seem like many people enjoyed them. Does Pete like need to live in an apartment? I'm not saying that he can't, but just like, why wouldn't he want to like move back in and help his aunt? Here she goes from a 1 to a 10. Whoa, it's like, yes, you can. Ah. I think Rosemary Harris does a good job as Aunt May. And, after we had Sally Field and now we've got Marissa Tomei, I still feel like she, to me, is kind of like that gold standard, even though she does kind of drone on and she's kind of a little much at times. I still see her as like the quintessential Aunt May for me. Yeah, happy birthday, Pete. Your aunt's like, if only I could see the guy who killed my husband, I swear to goodness, I'd give him a stern talking to. He does a good job there, though. Toby does a nice job of kind of like holding that guilt back, like, you know, just being like, I can tell her, I can tell her, I can tell her, but doesn't. And now we're just mirroring scenes from the first film. Something about MJ's hair in this one. It's a little too wispy for me, personally. Toby's hair looks pretty good, though. Harry's hair, a little much. Why don't you just tell her how you feel, Pete? I get it. You want to protect her from all of your enemies, but, like, is it really protecting her? Because they still seem to capture her every time anyway, so... Also, this relationship has got some issues. Not only that Peter can't express himself, but that MJ knows that Peter feels this way, probably knows he's Spider-Man, and yet never, like, says herself, yeah, you know what, Peter, I have feelings for you again, like she did in the first one. But she should just say, hey, Peter, I feel like there's something going on between us. I care about you a lot, and I feel like you care about me, so, like, what's going on? Just ask him flat out instead of, like, doing this sort of thing where you're all just like, oh, like, I'm gonna put my hand on your face, and then also say, like, hey, I'm dating somebody now, like... They have a pretty good chemistry, though. I would give this movie a 10 out of 10 if she slapped him right there, though. It's like, oh, come on, Mary Jane. I'm seeing somebody now. Thank you. Like, I'm using him against you. Isn't that fun? Companionship, Pete. More? What? Pete, don't make a girl a promise you can't keep. Did you ever play Halo? Come on, dude. Don't disappoint me. Come on. I get it, but it's like... Clearly the guy's got something going on. Here's the introduction of a fun character, too, Mr. Dikovich, that I think is pretty comical, but interesting moving forward. Hi. He just takes the 20 from him. I wonder if the Spidey powers keep him, like, looking good or, like, you know, pretty fit. Because I wonder if at some point Pete's just, like, not eating anything. Or, like, not eating a lot. And I would think he'd look a little more gaunt than this. And I wonder if that was a consideration or if there's, like, nah, don't worry about it. Because, like, the way Peter looks and dresses is not indicative of someone who is, like, I'm really hard out on money. Like, it doesn't feel like this is his apartment. If you know what I mean. Like, he feels out of place. Also, he's like, yep, I just have a picture of MJ here. Right next to Uncle Ben, which isn't as big. Like, Heroes for Hire much, man? Come on. Also, you don't have your own bathroom? Like, what are we in the dorms? Kind of a not necessary little scene there. I also like how manic Harry is in this movie. He's, like, crazy. He's like, we'll be rich? Like, dude, you're already rich. It's so weird. Like, Otto should have known they were coming, right? It's like, ha 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 ha, yay. Okay, so Harry told you about Peter, and Connors also told you about Peter, but you forgot who Peter was. Like when you, that's so weird. It's like, geez, give me a freaking break, dude. I just met you. You know, Peter's like, oh my gosh, intelligence is a gift. It's like, okay, all right. I actually asked a professor about this in college, and I think they were like, this doesn't make any sense. So I'm like, okay, I figured I'd ask anyway. Also, if Otto was so hesitant to talk to him, like, I don't understand how Peter won him over now. Like, he's been talking to him for an hour and a half. Like, come on, man. He's like, I hate this kid. I don't have time for students. Oh, wait. Cool. Let's hang out. Not blow up the city as much as, like, I don't know, black hole it. Can anybody come to this demonstration? It's also weird that Otto talks about like those first two science ones and then he does like Beethoven. I don't know. Doesn't track. Peter, the answer is no, you don't. It can make you sick. Otto is right about that. They have a good chemistry, these two. I really like how they play off each other. Yeah. They have like one of the best relationships in this whole series. Feeder poetry. Is she perhaps like, I don't know, like an arts major? Because I guess, you know, technically MJ is, she's an actress, but she would kind of know this stuff. I don't know. She doesn't seem like the diehard romantic type. It's so confusing. Also, I have a hard time believing that Pete hasn't washed this thing before with like his other clothes. So it's like, aha, look at him. His white boxers, which every normal guy has, is blue and red and pink now. Ha 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 ha. Also, if you've run out of money, like you're not doing laundry. That's all I'm trying to say. You can tell this movie is a little bit old too by this song too, like which I love. It's just like a little bit of little old school here. He's like, I've got my one suit and my Spider-Man suit. Which did he put on underneath? And why does he have like a picture strip of MJ like that with like 4 or 5 pictures that she took by herself? Like he needs that rent, man. Also, I think Pete is lucking out because he didn't have to sit through this play, at least early on here. You're welcome, Pete. I'm just kidding. I'm sure this is a great play. You never know who's coming. Okay, you should be saying that about your boyfriend. You shouldn't be saying it about your friend like this. Also, like, who would let him take all those flowers? I'm like, oh, you only got 3. And you're going to spend money on this, Pete? Pete, you ran out of your $20 for the rest of the week. I'm not trying to pick apart this whole movie. I'm just trying to talk about the rationale here. Also, I don't know where they're driving in New York with all this open space, because... Yeah. Eat your green vegetables. So, where did he change? He must have been like in an alley or something. But I do like this old school, like, chase with thieves and stuff. I just don't know how this cop car gets to this point where it's like flying through the air like that. And how did he stop all the noise, the ambient noise in New York? And how did he get those webs out? It's just so many questions. But good job, It's a web. Yeah. I love this shot here too, where he just slides through between like the trailer and the actual truck. Oh, I love that. They used it in all the trailers. They're just shooting wildly. Like these guys, I don't know what they stole, but it must be worth like killing everybody. Those poor guys. Credulity. Also, how does she know it's that seat? Does she mean to say yes, I mean no, or did she say yes inadvertently? Guy's like, okay. Just the cop standing outside the theater. Now, originally, I think I might have mentioned this in the first Spider-Man commentary, but this character here, who we've seen as the professional wrestling kind of announcer guy, now here, and then he's also the maitre d' at the fine restaurants in the third film. He was actually supposed to be Mysterio, but we never got that fourth Spider-Man film. I always forget his name, but I love him. He's so good at it. In all of Burn Notice, he's great. I like how he's just kind of watching. He's just kind of jamming around, and then it's becomes serious. He's like, "Oh my gosh, she's speaking or singing about me." Like good reactions there. Just run across the street and say, "MJ, I'm here. What up?" Also, how did she get out of the play at like the same flip in time as everybody else is walking out? Runaway, it's one of the originals. Ah, yeah. Vampire Diaries joke. Don't you worry about it, everybody. Also, if he had to run every time he saw like police like flying by, he would not be sleeping. Like, how does he justify doing anything else? Ah, but she knew he was there. I think the difficult thing for me is knowing where this romance goes. Ugh, so sad. I love that kind of Superman reveal where he just rips the shirt, pulls the mask down. It looks so cool. Now, one thing I really, really love about his organic web shooters is you get to do this thing where you can make it like emotionally tied into how he's feeling. Because if it's the web shooters, they have to just run out. But here it's like mentally, he's like, I don't want to be Spider-Man anymore. His body's like, okay, you're not Spider-Man anymore. And how terrifying it would actually be if you were up on top of these crazy buildings and you lost the ability to swing around like that, like mid-swing. So I know a lot of people are, pro regular web shooters. That's how the comics do it and stuff. But I grew up on this, and for some odd reason, to me, it's always stuck. I was like, oh, that kind of makes him the most spidery Spider-Man. This whole bit is kind of weird too. I think when you take a superhero in the costume like this and you just put him in a regular moment, it's a little odd. Like it always feels a little forced, like it's just some street performer. But in New York, again, this wouldn't be any cause for alarm. You should be like, yep, pretty much. And how did you make it exactly? Still wondering about that. Has a nice candid moment there. I don't like how you can kind of see the ears, but the eyes on that thing, I still think are my favorite Spidey eyes. They just look kind of menacing. It's nice to kind of get a look and see the texture of the whole thing. It's pretty cool. Kind of seamless too, where the mask goes on to the rest of him, or at least that's how it looks like. And to add insult to injury, the day after his birthday, like all these pictures of her, which I don't know if they would be plastered quite like this, but I don't know. Also, would he have really gone back for his bike? Every time he gets on a payphone in these movies, it's always bad. Last time was Green Goblin. This time it's like MJ and he can't talk to her. I do like how we get to see from her perspective, like this phone call. And they do this kind of like pan around with the camera on him too, which I do enjoy. Like it could have been a really boring shot, but they tried. Like Sam Raimi tries to make it engaging. Like she's constantly moving, they're constantly moving around. Like how many minutes did he get with that? Next 5 minutes gets you another 50 cents. That's what you get. It's too bad. I guess my question right now is like, who are his enemies? Like Green Goblin's gone. I guess Harry is. Maybe he just mean thugs in general. I almost feel like too that this plot line would have almost been better suited in 3, weirdly. I guess Green Goblin found out and that's why he targeted her, but still. This weird joke about the $20 bills in the rubber band is like so weird. I'm like, why? It is a terrible joke, Otto. Why are you doing it? Also, it sounds like from behind the scenes that they actually brought Willem Dafoe in, and during one of Alfred Molina's breaks here, they actually had Willem Dafoe go out and stand up and do his little Doc Ock spiel and stuff, like use his lines. So it's kind of a fun surprise, which kind of led to his cameo at the end of this film. This is such a weird experiment too, because this alone, like these 4 arms, are incredible, even by today's standards. So it's like, why didn't you like start with one thing, like this? Like, why wouldn't you show this first and then another day do the sun? Also, this is clearly the first time that he's done this because he doesn't have Mark Solver's back. That kind of would have been cool to see. But I do love the representation of Otto in this one. Like, I think he's just flawless. I think perfect casting. Like, the arms look really cool. And each of them, I guess, are a little bit different when you start to look at them. It's such a fascinating design, and they are very scary. And it's pretty good. Like, it's pretty decent CGI for the most part, and puppeteering later on, we will see. Like, everybody backs up. It's like, no questions till after the tour, Karen. Why would you put that inhibitor chip out where they can be exposed to getting it destroyed? I don't know, it just seems dumb. Also, I like how there's a few scientists who are like, all right, we're going to move this over now so we can do another grand reveal. Like, move all these computers. And I like how the arms are making, like, last-minute adjustments. They're like, tweak that, do this. This seems super dangerous. Like, no one's wearing safety goggles or anything. It's like, you have to say this. You have to say these nice things. I think Otto's backstory in this one's decent enough, like with Rosie and everything, but I also wish that we could have gotten a little bit more of, like, his drive, or like why he really wants this to work. Like, he's like a renewable source of energy for the entire world. Like, I would love it if it was more of like a pride thing or something that like kind of drove him crazy. You know, on top of the fact that the AI drives him crazy. A successful fusion reaction like that would be like melting everybody's faces off. Yeah. Your dad would be so proud right now. Crazy goblin. I love that shot, and I love that line. I think that's one of the best things in this movie. That right there is just the power of the sun in the palm of my hand. Like that, and like half of the goggles are like lit up. Oh, it's so good. Great way to get the classic Doc Ock look in there too, without trying to force it. I like how his watch comes off right there too. Clear the room. We didn't think this through. You know, it's crazy in a lot of Spider-Man's fights and his villains, like, he kind of fights things that are like elemental or go over the top, and this is kind of the biggest threat you get in this whole trilogy, is this, like, the fact that he's making like a big sun. Harry just throwing a freaking tantrum. So Doc Ock gets first blood on Spider-Man there. So he started this. I'm not sure the glass would fly that way, but maybe it would. Like, shield yourself, Rosie. If you would have put your arms up, you probably would have been okay. I like how Spidey doesn't stand on the ground for this. Like, he does get better leverage, I guess, maybe, from doing it this way. It's very cool looking. I like the little implosion, explosion, implosion again. It's very good. That kind of fade to black on Spidey is good too. It's like he saved the day, but at what cost, kind of thing. Why wasn't J. Jonah Jameson there for this? Or like somebody from the Bugle? Maybe they were. You ruined? Really? Isn't Oscorp still a thing? Like they bring her all the way outside, dead, and I think glass hit her face, but like her face is still okay. And then they put the blanket over her, and then also Harry leaves, Peter back there by himself. It's like, come on, man. Oh, this is always a part I'd skip over as a kid because it did freak me out, and it just kind of plays into like Sam Raimi's like horror roots. Ugh. Yeah. Cervical to thoracic or whatever. Shop class. Do you guys think that these saws and stuff would cut through this metal? Like, I'm no professional, but still. Yeah, I think Sam Raimi just really wanted to do a horror scene. And it's kind of cool to see this thing like ripping people apart. Like, so the trick here when she gets pulled away on the ground apparently is like it's a full wax floor. And that's how they do this. Yeah, like where she's her nails on the ground here. Ugh. Yeah, right here. Yeah, so that's like a wax floor that she's ripping up. This guy looks deceptively like the guy who killed Uncle Ben. Like, what's that guy gonna do with the chainsaw there? I mean, I know he's trying to stop this, but like, kudos to that guy for trying. He's like, I had to get a horror scene in this PG-13 movie. No blood though, so that's good. This is where you can start to have a lot of fun with Otto's powers, quote unquote, like these arms and like what they can do for him. It's so interesting and, kind of visually impressive. Out of any of the Spider-Man villains we get, I think besides Sandman, he's the one that's just like kind of the coolest looking as far as the powers go. Even though some of the CG doesn't look perfect, still pretty good. So did he fight his way out of the hospital too? And like if you look around the like where the harness is on his belly, it's like burned and stuff. Ugh, it's well done. Good makeup. Like that might be from the burn from the actual like sun flare hitting it or just being stuck to him for a long period of time. He's like, yeah, I'm crazy now. And I'm looking at the camera. And I'm walking away. I don't know. He's like, this is the perfect place to build my new sun. Also, what's he eating? I wonder. We're lucky. Doctor Strange, but it's taken. Oh, that's so crazy. Back in the day, like hearing that and thinking, like at the time, I didn't really know Doctor Strange, but I remember remembering, like, oh, yeah, I think that's a hero. And now that he's like commonly known, especially with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I like how I think his name is Robbie, like, knows that Peter is Spider-Man. This laugh right here, so good. This would have been the perfect place to introduce the symbiote. Is like, oh yeah, it came back on the space shuttle with his son. It's just so like, ugh. So did Otto climb down to this like shack and just stand here all night with a shawl? Kudos to Alfred Molina for giving this acting like portrayal all he's got. Like he's talking to nothing right now. Like some probably tennis balls on a stick or whatever else. It's like, well done, man. Now, I wonder if there's ever an interpretation of this where they like went into Otto's head or they had like a whisper kind of in the background of the arms, but I think not doing that works just as well. I also like that the arms like kind of main goal is to just constantly rebuild this thing. Like that's why they wanted to like survive. Also, you probably shouldn't have had a bunch of people in that room in like an unsafe situation, Otto. Like that creepy grin, it's so good. Dang, those arms are persuasive. Did you put that into the artificial intelligence there? It's so good. So cool. They do a good job of like walking Alfred Molina through that area and like having him stand up and stuff, or like kind of raise up. Ugh. Giving piano lessons again. Ugh. Oh, those corrupt banks. Bloody corrupt banks. Well, it could be worse. Because she could get that free toaster. Oh, wait, she can. But it could be worse on top of that. It's not like any supervillain's going to rob the same bank on the same day. Like, that'd be crazy. Like, the odds of that happening are, minuscule at best. Wait a second. The vault's right there, baby. Let's open it up. Also, apparently this was supposed to be like pirate gold that he was stealing. That's the reason why they've got the gold. Also, I do respect the fact that he's got a fedora. He's going full like old school bank robber. I wonder how Aunt May would justify later on, like Peter running away from her. Oh, that guy might be dead. Like those guys all might be dead. Also, where's he's putting these in these bags? So he's got like 4 bags tops that he's carrying. I mean, 5 or 6 if he's actually carrying them with his hands. But there is a part of me that just loves the fact that like they're fighting in a bank with gold coins. And also, Otto is just a regular man, so I don't know how he takes some of the punishment he gets from Spidey. Like, I kind of wish they would have made it so he was like untouchable for this whole movie until the very end. She's always slapping guys. Just slapping them. Did she slap someone in 3? I don't remember. Huh. I love how he's just gonna like kill him right here and just crush his head. See, that's the trick. You just gotta hit him, multiple ways at the same time there, Spidey. These fight scenes are well done. There is a physicality to them, even though there's clearly CGI in them. Also, he's not bullet immune, I should say. I love that. Don't follow me. Also, I feel like this office is just like the fakest office ever. Oh, Venice, look like it's Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming. Or, I mean, Far From Home. Also, I don't know why his arms just, like, stay in that configuration, because clearly they're going flat on the walls, but, like, they shoot inwards like that. You think they'd expand, you know? Also, like, he went from, like, I'm not gonna be a thief, to being like, I'm okay with murder. Like, nice grab there with that umbrella. Stanley, nice. Saving him. Yeah, the fights that these guys can have are so interesting. Like, the ones you have with Sandman in the third one are also cool, but there's something about the tangibility of these. Like, there's a real sense of danger when it comes to Ock. Like, these hits should be taking him out. I love that. Just no music, just the wind. Ugh. I forget, I think it's later on with the train sequence, but there's like an extended version of that fight scene that gets real brutal. I'm a big fan of that. Ah, it's a nice statue. I like how there's people in that place too, like that he's jumping out of. They're all like getting out of there. It's so good. And like, why did Otto develop like this arm to have this big, like, needle built into it? It's like, what? Aunt May with the assist. Classic Witch King tactics. I love it. Aunt May is a trooper. I also love how he spins and he's very gentle when he catches her. Like, it's not rough. Like, it's well done. Like, the lady's out of the way. Time to open fire on this apartment building. What kind of guns are those guys using? I think they'd make a good duo. They're like, oh my god, he saved your life. Tell us about him. Spidey, you're getting awfully close to some of those things on the top of those buildings. Hey, did you guys forget that Peter's life is horrible? Well, we just wanted to remind you that even though his aunt's house is going to be taken away and he doesn't have enough money to afford the apartment he lives in or help his aunt out, he's also going to be this photographer for this societal thing for his love's boyfriend? Come on, Harry, you didn't have to let him pour the thing and then knock it on the ground. You lost a bundle, Harry, but you didn't lose Oscorp, did you? Oh, there's that moment. I didn't realize that. You don't really get, like, Harry interacting with J. Jonah Jameson. It's like, oh, nice. Good call there. Eh. Haha, you played football on the moon. Good for you. The Wolfman. I mean, werewolf. I mean, Jameson. Captain Jameson. Everybody loves him. And of course, he's walking in with his longtime girlfriend of a little while, Mary Jane, that Peter had absolutely no clue they were dating. How did they meet? What is their story? It doesn't matter, because he is just a piece of arm candy to basically throw in Peter's face, and she's like, perfect. She was probably the one who put that polo ball right into the face of that poor photographer. She like wanted Peter to be there. Also, who was that guy holding that up for? Was somebody standing in front of him and Peter was going to try to take it, that hors d'oeuvre? It's like, come on, man. And now she's just standing outside by herself, not hanging with Captain Arm Candy. Oh, you. He's trying. It's like, aw, so sad. Ugh. It's rough. I get it. Like, it's painful on both sides. Like, you understand. He just takes it, though. I'll give it to Pete for not, like, losing his mind and just, like, yelling at people. Also, did that waitress just let him take an empty glass? She wasn't like, sorry, sir, there's nothing in this glass. Cruel. Gala. Who doesn't love a gala? Uh-oh. Hey, don't lose it, Harry, man. If you slap me, I'm gonna lose my mind. Ah. Stole MJ from you. What? Okay, let him die? Okay. I get, well. Ah! It's like you could tell that Toby's expecting it. Like, he moves his head too quickly with it. Also, I wonder if there was a version where they, like, he got punched in the face. This movie. Okay, if you saw Harry Osborn, who's pretty well known around here, maybe you don't know him, but anyway, you just saw two guys, like, basically fighting, and you're John Jameson. Maybe you didn't see all of it, but, like, it went totally quiet. Would you be like, yeah, this is the perfect time to say, like, yep, Mary Jane has decided to marry me. Happy days. Ugh. Again, depress fest. Like, movie is not supposed to be super fun. Like, ugh. I do like this quiet shot of him swinging through the air, and it's just like, oh, it's serene, it's peaceful. It's like, oh, wait a sec. Ugh. There are some pretty rough falls in these movies, like some pretty bad ones. I also enjoy that his hair is all crazy, like, because he landed in the water and just pulled his mask off, and he doesn't care about his hair. Like, he's not looking at it. They don't, like, make it perfect until, like, right there, where they're like, all right, we're going to put it back. I do like, too, we get the symmetry here of, like, that shot in the first movie where he's climbing and it's all good to go, and now it's just like, nope, it's not working anymore. Ugh. Hitting your head in like on a dumpster like that? Ay, ay, ay. Also, nowadays, I wonder how, like, well the Daily Bugle would do, because there'd be so many people kind of out and saying, like, hey, you know what? No, I filmed the whole thing on my phone, and Spidey was actually trying to stop him, and here's footage, and someone else would have footage, and, like, all that sort of thing. I'm not saying they couldn't still do that. Also, it's kind of fun to see like the arms working for him, lighting a cigar and stuff, and they kind of always jump back to kind of show that there's, a clock here. Like we're moving forward. Also, did he pay for all this and they just like shipped it to this building? I don't know. It's like Amazon today. Like they'd probably do it. He's like the cool doctor. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to button up my lab coat. I got a cool shirt. Let me flip this stool around and talk to you, Pete. Let's rap. Let's jam for a second. Like, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, but let me talk to you about this. Like, any doctor would be like, nope, you seem good. Time to go. Also, this doctor would probably, like, at this point, have a feeling like he might be Spider-Man, because he'd be like, wow, you seem incredibly fit. Do you have time to go to the gym a lot? Like, he's right about that, though. Nothing is as bad as uncertainty. Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate that. There's some pretty good messages in this movie about kind of choosing to be a hero or not. And, I enjoy that. And I love that we get Uncle Ben back in here. It's very comic book. I love that Uncle Ben looks like he's just about to cry this whole time. And using that line again, it doesn't feel forced. Like, he just nails it. He's a perfect Uncle Ben. And I'm glad that we haven't gotten another one since, like, after Martin Sheen. I was like, eh. But between kind of the line of saying, like, you get to kind of choose who you want to be and then also, like, not bottling up love, I think there's some really good messages in this movie. When, many times in superhero films, it's not so much about that nowadays, about the kind of personal things, like the things that make us human. And I think that at the core is what makes Spider-Man such a lovable and relatable hero. Obviously, a very famous comic line here, if you didn't know about this, like Spider-Man No More, just kind of him like throwing this in the dumpster, and this shot of him kind of deciding, I'm done, and having it hang over the trash can just so. It's very well done. Sam Raimi is a very, very good director, and I got to give it to, the whole team who set this up, from the costume designer to the director of photography and all that stuff. It's good. It's very good. And here we get a weird scene, but hilarious all the time. And I heard this recently. I was having a bad day, and I heard this at the auto mechanic, and I was like, of course they're playing this song. I love it because it just kind of plays into the corniness. Like, if Raimi's not going to do the horror, he's going to do the corny. And, like, Pete's just got his glasses just clipped to his jeans. Ugh. And again, say what you will about Tobey Maguire. Maybe he's not the greatest, like, Peter Parker Spider-Man, but for some reason I always just get, like, this pure Peter Parker vibe from him. Maybe it's because he was, like, the first one I saw. But, like, when I look at him, I just see Peter Parker. And I like how he kind of crouches like Spider-Man there. He's like, ooh. He's trying to fix his bike. Never got that. But apparently, Tom McGuire, I think, is a vegetarian or vegan, so this is a like a vegan hot dog or something. He's just wolfing it down. I like it. Is it 4? Tell me it's 4. Ah, 0.23 whatever electron volts. Way off. So far off. I love this freeze frame, but they earned it, you know? It's funny here. At the end of the third Harry Potter, it's weird. He's like stretched face. But it's nice to have like something like a little bit of levity in this like depressing film. It's so good. He's like, yeah, that's right. I'm here. You didn't think I'd be here. I am glad. It'd be funny because like you'd think she's never screwed up any of these lines ever. She's had really good performances. But this guy's just standing over here just like finally he's like, you're supposed to say I am glad. Ah. Scary eyes there though. Yeah, the last time I saw you, you told me I was an empty seat, MJ. And you got engaged. To spite you. I'm getting married to spite you. You gotta finish the sentence. What a weird thing to say, man. I always imagined you getting married on a hilltop, but you hadn't decided who the groom was yet? I could see where she's kind of incredulous to this whole thing. Makes sense. That taxi's just waiting there for her. Thanks for that, MJ. Am I getting an invite to this wedding or? But like, do you like that he's different or not? It's kind of. It's tough to know. He's like, I put my glasses back on because I couldn't see anything for a while. Medium brown bag. See, nowadays, we wouldn't be able to believe that that was legitimately the Spider-Man suit. But back then, you'd have to. Right? I guess? Who knows? I also like that Jonah Jameson has multiple monitors now at the desk. Like, he's moved up. Oh, I love that Robbie's, like, really sad about this. Did Peter quit the Bugle? Spider-Man no more. This lady's still playing Spider-Man. It's like everybody likes Peter now. It's a cute dork. Like, would they really beat up this guy right there? Like, I don't know. Just go help him, Pete. Like, you probably still got it. You know, you got a couple of moves. He's like, nope, I'm just gonna watch that and not do anything. It's something that, man, like, they do such a good job. I don't know. I think like the look, the costume design of all these guys, especially when they're in this setting, it looks like just perfectly out of the comic book. It's really well done. He repaired his whole bike. Well done, Pete. Also, I've always noticed this about Aunt May's chairs. Look at how low sloping those arms are, like, on them. She keeps an immaculate house, too. Did you want to take the subway or the bus? I don't remember. I think this scene is one of the more powerful ones you're going to get in the whole trilogy. Kind of Peter, you know, not being Spider-Man anymore, and also kind of fessing up to this or feeling like he is responsible, which in turn he is partially for Ben's death. I love how honest he is about this. He's like, I went to go do this for Mary Jane, and I was an idiot, basically. I also like this kind of through line of revenge you get here, and they do talk about that in 3, so I think they do an admirable job trying to tie in Venom with all this as best they can, thanks to corporate pushing. She does a really good job here of kind of this, like, totally alarmed and confused face. Now, she doesn't fly off the handle here. I really like that, you know, he does a great job as well, kind of explaining it, but she kind of pulls her hand away and just doesn't say anything, just walks away, can't even understand it. Great scene in a great trilogy. Oh, I know 3's got its problems, but still. And they're like, hey, don't forget, he's still building this thing. Oh, well done. He like put it into place and it powered up immediately. This is one of the kind of, it's a minor plot hole, I suppose. But why wouldn't Doc Ock just show up and just like threaten Harry and take the trinium? Yeah. Hey Bernard, why don't you tell Harry right now that you like Norman killed himself, basically. Probably save us a lot of guff. Harry's so down on himself because he wanted all this money from Otto and stuff, and the Nobel Prize and this prestige and acclaim. I guess to kind of prove his dad wrong, maybe is the whole point. He should say that. You know, he should be like, I'm only doing this because like I really want to like prove to my dad that I'm not just a screw up. But it's not like he needs the money. He's looking like he's doing pretty well for himself. And credit to Otto, like these arms, not only are they suggestive, but they are like easily to like kind of manipulate people, or Otto, I should say, but like they have a sense of timing. That's great too. Why would you call him a hack, Harry? You're nuts. What kind of leverage do you have, you dummy? I like how Otto just goes shirtless too. He's like, whatever. Just wearing a trench coat now. Okay, or I'll just kill you. Or just like, not kill you, but like hurt you horribly until you tell me where it is. I feel like this would have worked a lot better if it would have been something along the lines of like he needed the money in the first place and Harry would have offered this to him, like the money and the trinium to get Spider-Man. But I guess that would have moved the plot too quickly along. But I do like that Harry does say, don't hurt Peter. Now we'll remember that when Doc Ock throws a car at Peter. The sequence I always felt was kind of unnecessary. This whole like he's gonna go save these people from this burning building. Like I understand that it's kind of like his call to action to be like, hey man, you don't have your powers anymore, and you should have them because if you had your powers, you could save these people. But it's the second burning building we've seen in this series. It's kind of like, okay, we get it. I'm just waiting for friggin' Green Goblin to show up like it's a screaming woman. Apparently most of these flames and explosions were real, and it does feel that way. Like they do a good job of making it feel like that, even if it's not true. Also, that doorknob would be incredibly hot if it were metal. Even if it weren't, like it should like wreck your hand. Good job, Pete. Nice kick down. See, Pete still got the moves, more or less, you know? That kid was just going to cry and burn in a closet. What are you going to do now, Pete? I bet someone's cut this together with Green Goblin's in here. That would be pretty funny. Like, good grab on his part. Like, I always see that in movies where, like, they put up that last hand to grab at the last moment. I'm like, that's pretty impressive. They left their child in a burning building. And now she's saving him. The irony is not lost on us. That one guy's like, yeah, nice. That guy's crazy, but he might have done something good. I also feel like they threw that little action scene in there because there wasn't a lot of action for a bit. And it was like, okay, there's still action in this movie, don't worry. Man, they put that fire out pretty quickly, though. Good on them. Aw, feels guilty. Poor Peter. No matter what he does, his life is just horrible. He's like, if I'm Spider-Man, my life sucks. If I'm not Spider-Man, my life sucks. Pete, I totally empathize with you. There's a lot of characters talking to themselves in this movie, and I'm okay with it. Also, knock much? That's right, go back. She like has the message in her hand too. It's like, come on. I don't know why they put this in this movie, but I do like that she is like there and she's kind of like a little bright light in his life. And it's very nice of her to like reach out and do this sort of thing. And, like they don't talk the whole time though, maybe. I like that she clearly has a thing for him, but she's not going to say it. And it's like, oh, like she's just doing these things to kind of like lighten his day. And maybe this isn't the first time she's done this. I don't know. It's all right. Kind of unnecessary still. And I like that Aunt May has like already overcome this news she got about Ben. It was very nice. It's cool. You only give Henry Jackson $5 for helping you move, May? Come on. I know she doesn't have a lot of money though. I love that line too. It's water over the dam or under the bridge or wherever you like it. Ugh. See, Aunt May, like, she does get a little preachy sometimes, but I love that. She's like, I love you, Peter. Like, it was bold and scary that you did that, but I appreciate it. Like, that's so cool. I'm like, Aunt May, kudos to you. Was she having like a garage sale though? Like, why did she move everything outside first before she boxed it up? I haven't moved house a lot, so I'm not saying that I understand this better, but haha, comic books suck. Isn't that a funny joke? In a comic book movie? You don't have to agree about that, Aunt May. You should say we don't see his picture enough in the paper anymore, because if his picture isn't in the paper anymore, then we would all agree on that, right? So does the kid know? But I'm guessing Aunt May must know. Too few characters out there like that. So there are other superheroes, maybe? This is such a good little speech by her. I really like that speech. Obviously, the great power with great, or with great power comes great responsibility is still like the big one that you take away from all this stuff. But that part where she says, I believe there's a hero in all of us, and keeps us honest and all that is just like, it's so good. It's great. I also enjoy that Pete, every time he's like trying out his powers, it's always just some like crazy way to do it. It's like, I'm gonna jump off a building. But you gotta give him kudos for that. Like, this movie has moments like this where it feels like it's an epic, like, awesome moment. They're like, wow, this is like so cool. Like, during the time, it was like, whoa, like, look at him, he's jumping off a flipping building. Like, that's still a pretty good jump. But then it's like, accented by this point, like, where he just gets messed up, and it's comical. His glasses are gone. Now, I think apparently that line about his back being bad was always in there, but it's even funnier because, like, that was the reason Tom McGuire, like I said at the top, was not going to be able to come back, or they had to pay him more or something like that because he had a major back injury. Also, that car makes the noise, but there's no flashing lights. Is that how that works? I'm not sure. Also, how do you remember Peter Parker? This guy. This guy. Like, trying to be understanding and stuff, but also he's such a tool, I feel like. Also, if we didn't know, like, kind of how obviously already into Peter she already is, like, this just seems weird. And I guess watching this back now, it's not like they do it in public, but in 3, Peter also kisses somebody like this. So it's like, oh, that's our kiss, but she never told him about this kiss. Are you up there with me? And she says nothing, which means she isn't. Run away, man. John, you gotta get out of there. You talked about Peter, and she's like, hey, would you put your head back? I'd be like, oh, did you kiss him like this once or something? Where did Peter come from? Isn't the front door on the other side? Peter, you should just let her finish talking. Ah, Pete. You're killing me. I think these two deserve each other, though. Mixed messages, Pete. And mixed messages from you, Mary Jane. Like, clearly, yes. One thing I do enjoy about this relationship too is more often than not, we kind of see like the guy trying to win the affections of some woman, time and time again in these kind of older films. But this one, it's like Mary Jane is like, I know you have a thing for me. Like, come on, man. Like, you got to give me something to work with. And also, she's testing him constantly because she knows. Now remember, don't hurt Peter. Like, oh, and this scene was so cool in the trailer. It was like, oh my gosh, this movie's nuts. Like, somebody threw a car at Peter. Like, and like the wheels spinning over, that sharp noise. So cool. Like, well done, because that, like, it feels pretty real. Like, obviously it's not, but this kind of horror element that every time Otto's around, it's like the whole world's shaking. Now remember, everybody, the thesis here was don't hurt Peter. It's like, oh. I love that dip, 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 like the little the claw. It's so good. I'd be like, Otto, didn't you say intelligence was something about it's a gift for mankind? Come on. Also, he could have killed Peter right there. He does play the villain super well, though. Like, well done to him. I wish we could have seen him in more. Also, the CG looks pretty bad here, but, they did what they could at the time. Reaction shots from the extras. So is his quickest way from point A to point B over the buildings? I guess that way it doesn't get stopped. I love it. He's like, I'm back. If you saw a dude shoot out of the coffee shop like that, you'd be like, whoa. He's like, I don't need these anymore. This could have been a nice little date, Peter, where you told MJ you loved her, but you didn't. This is usually when on TV it would cut to commercial right here. It'd fade to black, but it didn't, so. Also, a cutscene of J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man's outfit jumping around. Pretty good stuff if you haven't looked it up. I also love that Hoffman or whatever is this like little worm that just pops into frame at any 1 second. Like, it's so funny. Also, I don't know how he teared that off the wall without ripping it apart. I like how they show like the window was open there, though. It's like, that's good. And now here comes one of the best fight scenes, like one-on-one. And again, this is not the uncut version. It's not like the extended version. I love that reflection kind of zoom out there of his sunglasses. It's good stuff. Let's talk. I love it. It's like, we're gonna fight. Like, that right there, the fight should be done. So he must not be trying to kill Otto, but you'd think he'd be able to hit him once where it was like, okay, that was enough. Here's some ingenuity by Spidey, where he uses this kind of debris that was probably going to hurt people, and as a weapon, where he could have killed Otto right here. Like, it comes very close. remember the trailers for this when it came out on DVD. They would always show like the date or like something else like that, where Otto ripped that kind of clock piece apart, and it was like the date getting ripped apart or something. I always remember that. Now this train sequence does get a little crazy, and I think Spidey and Doc Ock, besides maybe like a Venom or something like that, are the only two who could kind of pull this fight off, especially when they start fighting on the side of the train. It's really cool. And it is, I think, the best fight scene you get in the whole film, because there's this kind of this speed to it, this ferocity, and it feels like at any moment, like one of them just gets messed up, and Spidey can just, slip through a bridge like that and come back. It's good stuff. Now, Spidey gets thrown in here, and he grabs onto this pole and kind of does this spin around move, which is very similar to, like, I think Wasp does it in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I just was like, oh, so if you watch that movie, oh, that little Tobey Maguire yell there, and then just dodging the train. Man, Doc Ock can be stealthy when he wants to be, and then really loud when he doesn't. It's like, just kind of the arm looking right there to get, like, a visual confirmation on him. So cool. I love that Spidey can always bounce back too. Like, you kind of knock him down, but he'll just keep coming. Oh, and this part right here where he's running and jumping. Woo. The music, it's so good. Like, I always get the goosebumps when he does that kind of big free fall. I love a free fall like that. Kind of adding this element of, like, hostages, which I wish Green Goblin would have done a little more with. He does a bit, but not to this extent. Goblin just likes to take hostages. And so does Doc Ock, I guess. And his big plan to, like, stop... Oh, I forgot that, like, they shoot to the camera of the claw right there when he's looking at the conductor. That's cool. But his big plan to stop Spider-Man is like, I'm going to kill everybody on this train. It's like, okay, Otto, I know you want that tritium. He's got all the one-liners. You have a train to catch, don't follow me, Butterfingers. Always got to get these moments where he takes the mask off. But out of all the endings of the fights where he has to take his mask off, I like this one the most because you get, like, this humanization, with him, like, and everybody to see his face. And I do like the kind of Spidey sense forward there, seeing, like, the barricade thing or whatnot makes that noise. Oh, it's so good. The iconic stop the train scene. I don't know if it was birthed here, but this is where it was made most popular. God, Spidey is tough. He's like, my leg is broken. I love that the conductor's giving him a little lip. And one thing that's great about Spider-Man is his ingenuity, and more recently we kind of see that being like the tech side of it with like Iron Man, gadgets for Tom Holland Spider-Man. But I like that, this old school Spidey doesn't have all the money or the tech or the gadgets, and he has to really just like, all right, how can I do this with what I have available to me? And it's very much like a scientist, too. He's trying different things and finding out what works. He has hypotheses, but he's like, all right, I'm going to try this out. And then he found a version that works. He's like, well, I just got to, crank it up. A good job to Tobey Maguire there. Like, it does look like it is, like, ripping him apart. Oh, the CG looks so bad on Peter right there. Whoa, I forgot that. To the back of the train, everybody. To the back of the train. It's kind of comical, though, to see his face like that the whole time. Like, I know it's what it would be, but still something a little bit funny about it. Thankfully, these guys grab him. Nowadays, there'd be at least like 5 people with their phones out who have been recording this whole thing and like would record this. And they would not be nice people, and they just put it on the internet right away. I do like that he's kind of cut up and stuff, and he's just like, ugh. Nope, he's dead. So I think he just like threw his mask off after he took it off. Like he just threw it away. So how these two kids have it. How did that guy know that they had it? But I do like that in these movies, especially these first two, they kind of try to show like the civilians and citizens of New York being just good people. Which may or may not be the case. You tell me, New Yorkers. It's like, great. Spidey's like, yep, it's great to be back. Not feeling great. That one lady's like, I'm still holding my baby. I love this. When he opens his mouth here, it like, that's when, like, rips things apart. So good. I would love it so much if he made all of his arms like those needle things before and just started stabbing people. Like, we're all lucky that he didn't do that. Like, one of those people might have fallen off the track. So, like, were you gonna bring him to him dead? Like, you almost killed him. I like how there's always, like, a weird angle when they show Osborn Mansion now. Don't get too used to that picture of his mom in that creepy chair in that painting, because it will change soon. Also, like, did he wrap him up in barbed wire? That hit doesn't look like it would hit him that way. Harry's like, yes, I've doomed the whole city for this guy. Dang, Ock is so sneaky when he wants to be. Which I would imagine wouldn't be his arms on the ground. He'd be just like tiptoeing. He's got a little maker's mark there. Did he really cause you that much pain? Like, did you love your dad that much? It seemed like you kind of hated your dad. What if it was nobody you knew? Well, Harry, what did you think? Like, Harry, what did you think was going to happen? Right? Be like, no, your dad killed himself because he was an idiot and a psycho. I like that, but technically there are bigger things happening here than you and me, but I don't know. Also, how did Harry know he was down here? Did he say something earlier? I like that Mary Jane is still fiery. Like, she's not just, she is a damsel in distress for sure, but she's still gonna yell at this guy. I like how he knows. He's like, yep, I know right where you are. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but did Spidey change costumes? Yeah. Oh no, is it? Is the mask? Was the mask just like scorched a little? I don't know. Because he still has the cuts, I think, from the earlier bout. And I almost feel like the train sequence, while it was so good, there's just like nothing they can do in this one to top it. So I don't know. Because this fight's like already done. I guess they just had to wrap it up. This is before we had like 2.5 hour films as the norm. I like how Doc Ock's just sitting there just stunned. He's like, ah. Man, he is such a sniper with that web. It's okay, her feet have got like 4th degree burns, so it's fine. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot. There's a little more to this fight. But kudos here to Mary Jane for not just like sitting around screaming. Like, she tries here, and I respect that a lot. Like, they gave her a little something to do as opposed to just being like, oh no, Spider-Man! I love it. I love just like a hero that can do like little trick things like that. Where you're just like, oh, you can never ever count them out because they'll do some little move that just totally wins the day. Ah, Pete, if only you could use that beautiful brain of yours. Like, how terrifying would that be if you're just like walking along the street and then all the cars get pulled like that? I'd be thinking, oh, it's Magneto. It's gotta be Magneto. Ah, their one weakness, water. It's like, just catch Doc out on a rainy day and you're done, you know what I'm saying? It's me, the guy you almost killed multiple times. He's like, haha, brilliant but lazy. Come on, Doc. Did all my punches get through to you? He's like, you gotta stop choking me. It hurts a lot. Like a week ago. 2 weeks, tops. I'm just kidding. It might have taken a few weeks to actually build this whole thing. I like how these arms are so snake-like, too, and they're always just kind of talking to him, but you can't hear what they're saying. Ugh. It's a good message. I like how the arm looks, again, like incredulously at him. It just turns and it's like, what? It's like, come on, man. Now, I get that he can kind of, like, bring dominion over them, but if the AI was strong enough, you think they could just kill him and just, like, walk around with his lifeless body all the time. Ah, that's my arm. I'd be like, ouch, dude, you gotta stop doing this quick grab of my body thing like you're up to. It's like, stop, stop, stop. Also, you and I could have done this without killing you. Like, that's what I would have been like if I was Peter. I'd be like, we don't... How about we do this together? And now we get the dramatic zoom-ins on the face. Very comic booky. The redemption, though. Not most villains get. I love that kind of sigh of relief she has where she's like, it's him. Like, I do like that kind of his response there is not like, no, it's just like, he's just like, oh my gosh, she's about to die. And just kind of showing how strong he really is. This is really heavy. It's so good. Like he's starting to kind of lose it there for a second. Oh, it's so good. It's like finally they get to see each other like this. He's like, yep, even though I said I didn't. He's like, I'm sorry, you could tell why now. I would have said that. CG looks real rough here, but again, at the time, it was fine. So you gotta remember this. This is a long time ago, everybody. If you're watching this at home, you might be like, oh, this does not look good. Also, he chucks that whole thing. I don't know how. I guess he just got to the bottom part of it and flipped it over. I don't know what that thing is, but it looks terrifying. Good jump, Pete. I guess there was a crane there that he got a good swing off of. You could probably still save him. Yeah, whatever. Pete's like, one less problem. Like, one of those claws is still grabbing onto the thing. It, like, pulled him under. You think the claws would have worked to get him out? Oh, there's the sunglasses, too. Huh. Also, Pete made the web, threw Mary Jane on it, and then climbed and crawled down to crawl across it. Also seems kind of weird. Yeah, did you always know? Well, then why didn't you say anything? I don't know how they're stuck up there. Like, I know in-universe version, but maybe they're standing or something? She does look at him with love in her eyes, so I'll give him that. And I like that that's what this movie is about. He's like, I will always be Spider-Man. Like I've decided that now. It'd been great. Like, obviously they wouldn't put this in, but if you would have said something like, well, probably won't be attending the wedding, so enjoy. Also, he knew that Mary Jane was kidnapped, right? But why was he riding in the cop car? Like, was he hanging out down at the precinct and, like, he's like, oh, I'll ride with you. This is obviously about her. Like, I don't know. It just seems a little weird. He also gets a little action moment there. He gets to jump. So good on you, John. I do like the shot of Peter, like, looking at her just kind of like battle worn and sad and just like, ugh. But pull that mask on. He's like, well, I'm back at it. And I have to fix my suit. One more look around and then jumps away. Ugh. I'm sorry, Pete. I feel bad. Ah, here it comes. One of the best parts. I forgot about this. This is so good. Harry's like, this is the craziest letter opener ever. It's really cool looking. The question is, at this point, Harry hasn't ingested any of the goblin formula, but I guess, like, you see the kind of camera tilt there, and he's starting to go crazy. So the revelation that, like, Peter is Spider-Man and that they killed his father, I guess, is kind of like what makes him do this. Oh, there he is in all black too. So cool. Harry should have just been the main villain of Spider-Man 3. Willem Dafoe, so good. Perfect. I love that. And Pete's my best friend, and I'm your father. It's just like, whoa. Yes, avenge me. It's so good. The avenge me. It's one thing this trilogy does really well, just playing to the Goblin stuff. And I loved New Goblin. I was like one of the only people who did, just because I love the combination of the science and the tech and all that stuff. And I think it's so much fun to have just like this foe of Spider-Man's that kind of has a lot of his like powers as far as the strength and the speed, but also all these little gadgets. All those pumpkin bombs. All the R&D research. That mirror is there to make it look like there's a lot more, though, so don't worry about that. I wish we would have gotten a montage of him trying out all this stuff, like, seriously in the beginning of the next film. Like, not that it had to be, like, a joke, but... Now, in another one of these deleted scenes, which, oh, by the way, I love this shot, too. I don't know why he zoomed into the mask there, because there's a mask, maybe another one of the goblin masks he ran into in the beginning when he got to the mirror. But it's a deleted scene where you actually see one of the masks, and it looks kind of like the Hobgoblin mask. And I don't know if they're just kind of teasing that, or just like a little kind of, yeah, this is a little nod for the fans. There's Jameson's wife, which, because I guess they kind of dropped that line about her mom being sick, so she couldn't really be there. I love that this like wedding is super duper lavish. It's just like just flowers everywhere. Everything is just like crazy over the top. And then you just get this. It's just like, and there's Jameson. He's like, yeah, she's not coming. Was that her friend from the movie theater? Or, I mean, the movie theater, the play? That might be her. Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that. And they were like all wearing black, like even the bridesmaids. He's like, I'm gonna kill Peter Parker. Tell her not to open the caviar. So bad. Again, it's not something you'd probably even look twice at in New York. Is just a bride potentially running through, Central Park. Not a big deal. Did he just have his door open? Like, Tikovich just comes in, he's like, rent. Oh, I'm sorry. Rent. Like, if this happened to you, it would be like a mind-melting moment. You can't survive without him? Really? Okay. I mean, that's fine. It's very romantic. But, just saying. I like that too. They give Mary Jane that like moment where she's like, "Hey, like let me choose, huh?" If he turned her down at this point, it would be like, "Oh my gosh." Hard to argue with that logic. She's probably been talking to those Doc Ock arms. Very suggestive. Very manipulative. I'm just kidding. I think if you haven't seen this movie too, like this moment here, like it feels so good because not only are they finally together, but it's after like this super sad movie that's still pretty light, but there's a lot of bad things in it. The little tiger line, super good. And I love that because it's like, okay, cool. For one moment, he's going to have his cake and he's going to eat it too. He could be Spider-Man, but he can also be with Mary Jane. But there's some really, really cool bit of foreshadowing here at the end where you get, he's swinging away like he did at the end of the first movie. And I think they reused some of that footage for the third one. Who knows? But he's swinging, helicopters. He almost gets chopped to bits. And then he gets some a little bit of the American flags coming here. These helicopters are coordinated, though. But I like that. There's just like kind of that little subtle patriotic moment. But they don't finish this on Spider-Man. They finish on Mary Jane. And she's made this choice. And there's kind of this sense that, like, not everything's going to go perfectly. And I love that. There's this kind of, like, tingle you get where you're like, oh my gosh, like, what's going to happen next time? So there you go, everybody. That's Spider-Man 2. Oh my goodness. Still really enjoyed that movie. And I think out of the trilogy, it's still lauded as the best one. It might be my favorite. I know 3 gets a lot of hate, and there's a lot of things I like in 3 and a lot of things I hate. But 2 is just really solid, even though it is kind of a sad film. But yeah, it's got some great messages. Again, the 2 biggest ones that take away from me are kind of like, you can't hold love in, you got to tell people how you feel. Kind of that Otto was preaching about earlier. And then also the hero in all of us. And, you got to be honest and true and just. And sometimes you got to give up the things you want the most, to do the right thing. And that's something I completely understand. Yeah. So thank you, everybody, so much for hanging out with me here today. I appreciate it. And if you're interested in supporting the channel, consider checking us out on patreon.com/criticalreviews or going to our Spreadshirt. Or just hanging out with us on Twitch or our Discord, stuff like that. We also have a Facebook. Yeah, share us around if you want. And guess what? You'll never guess what movie I'm going to watch and do a commentary of next. What could it be? Yeah, but I appreciate all the Legionnaires who have donated not only their money, but their time to the Critical Reviews cause, as it were. I appreciate you listening in. I hope if you watched along with me that you got a little something different that you might not have if you would have watched alone. Or maybe you just listened to this without actually watching the movie and you just listen to me talk from time to time and then go really quiet during some of these speeches. Either way, I appreciate you being here. And until next time, just remember to adapt and overcome.